Welcome back to the Mackay T Show podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Brian Mackay, and with me as always,
T Davis.
T, how are you doing today?
God is good, God is good, God is good. I've been up for like 4 hours already, and it's 7 o'clock. Right?
Well, you know, the reason I asked that because there's a group of fans out there that probably aren't doing too well this morning. And that would be, since you asked, that group of fans would be the Tom Brady haters.
Oh, Lord.
They have gone through a varied of emotions the last 24 hours. They probably just was so excited and jumping for joy when word came down that he more than likely, in quotations, more than likely played a role in DeflateGate. Then they got so excited they ate dinner and they sat in front of the TV last night to watch that interview with Jim Gray where Tom Brady was just going to confess to all in their minds. And he didn't give them anything. He played to that crowd. It was like the Tom Brady parade in there. He played to the crowd. They yelled and cheered for him. And literally, Jim Gray threw some softball pitches. He knocked them out the park. And the only real question Jim Gray even asked was, about his missing out on the White House visit that everybody's in uproar about. And he said he had a family matter he was attending to, but then word has come out that he not necessarily was doing a family matter. He was at the Patriots facilities, and a lot of people are in an uproar on that one. What do you think about all of this has come out in the last 24 hours?
Don't nobody care. Like, really, don't nobody care. They not going to take their Super Bowl back. If you want to, you can put an asterisk by it and say, okay, well, these 2 years, this is when they had the little cheat. Somebody said if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And I guess the Patriots and Tom Brady took that literally. I don't think it was supposed to be literal. But, I mean, in the end, they're not going to vacate their championship. And so, now that we know that he'll cheat to win, I mean, what else?
Win at all cost.
Right, they'll cheat to win.
We're talking about deflated the receivers still had to catch him. I don't care how deflated. They weren't flat. I mean, the receivers still had to catch him. I mean, he still had to throw the passes. The coach just got their butts whooped. And if you go ahead, we wouldn't even be having this conversation if Marshawn Lynch had just got the ball. If they'd have just handed the ball to Marshawn Lynch, we wouldn't even be worried about this right now.
He would have got the half inch or whatever they needed. But now because Patriots didn't hand the ball off, we got to have this conversation. So if they had a loss, nobody would have cared.
Well, if he would have been there for other reasons than just not to get fined, then he probably would have got the ball. But, that's all he was there for, so he didn't get fined.
And like I can't think of the dude's podcast I was listening to yesterday, but like he was saying, it helps the running back probably more than the quarterback because if he can squeeze the ball a little tighter, he's less likely to fumble. And he talked about how if you look at the Patriots, they play inclement weather, and you rarely see them turn the ball over. So it ain't no telling what they doing. Like people in Miami, they fumble. Like every team fumbles, but they rarely fumble the ball.
Right. And
it's always cold, rainy, windy, whatever in the Patriot land. Okay, New England.
Gillette Stadium in New England.
So don't nobody care. Now we just know he'll cheat to win, and then him and whoever got bad language on text message.
Right. I mean, in today's time, you should have known better. You should have known better that they were going to get those text messages. They were going to see that you immediately called someone that you claim to not even know. You immediately called them when the word came down.
He cheating and dumb. Then you dumb.
but you know, but a lot of people say he a pretty dumb. That's why everybody hates him so much because he pretty, and he got a very very beautiful wife.
That don't make him pretty because he don't got a nice looking lady on his own.
But it does a lot.
That's a y'all men here. Y'all be like, oh, he got him a hot chick. Oh, JC got Beyonce. Whatever. Look.
Listen.
When she cries, she ugly like the rest of the humans.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we're gonna stay off subject for 1 second. Beyonce make Jay-Z look a lot better than he would by himself. Have you seen pictures of him by himself and then pictures with her? Take all the ugliness out the equation when she's in the picture with him.
All humans are unattractive when they cry. She ain't cute when she wake up in the morning and her hair everywhere and she ain't got all dolled up with makeup. So, whatever.
Well, moving on from that, we'll jump into the NBA. The playoffs are in the second round, and every series going right now is tied at 1-1. What so far has been the most interesting series to you?
Well, I think what's been fun is that everybody's tied up, and we know we're going to get some extra games. And I didn't know that Washington hadn't lost the first round game yet. Well, not yet. I mean, I don't know if they're going to make it to the next thing with that boy hurt and broken arm, but
yeah. Yeah, with John Wall out, that's going to hurt them.
The injuries, which I spoke of, barring injury earlier in another podcast, you know, injuries can change the game. And with Chris Paul, and I ain't no Chris Paul fan, but they did win that first game without him. But it's gonna be a struggle as Houston gets their rhythm and see how. Okay, this is what we need to do is just basically stop Blake Griffin. Because if Chris Paul ain't out there to run the machine, the other guys is for.
Right.
And it's just going to be another shootout pretty much. Because neither one of them is going to play the defense. And it's going to be whoever got the last bullet, I guess, win.
Yeah. And you and I both grew up around sports, grew up around the sport of basketball. You know, we've seen a lot of superstitions come and go. What are your thoughts on Mr. LBJ coming back with his headband in Game 2 and playing like everybody wants him to play, aggressive and you know, just dominating, being the player everybody expects him to be?
Whether he had that headband on or not, it wasn't a headband. Like Michael Jordan in that commercial, it was the shoes. It was never the shoes.
Right.
It wasn't a headband. And he needs to stop that foolishness. He wanted to look like his team. Well, guess what? None of y'all out there look alike. So, this whole I want to look like my team, just say I decided not to wear the headband. And then I decided to put the headband on. I had that prerogative. When I played, I had little bands on my arms. If I took them off, I decided not to wear them that game. If I put them back on, it wasn't time, I wanted to look like my teammate. Really? Come on, man.
Keep it with the NBA. The Golden State Warriors point guard Stephen Curry has been named league MVP. Well deserved. I thought he was, by and far, out of the top candidates, I thought he was the most deserving. You could have made an argument for James Harden because he had to play so much and do what he did without his counterpart Dwight Howard for most of the season. But I just feel like, the best player on the best team got the award.
Right, and that's what we all knew was going to happen. Was that, Harden could have won it. But when they won 67 games and it was so successful, he was going to win. Like, it was, I don't even know why people was acting like it was some kind of competition. I guess that's what the media do. We talked about that. Yeah. They had to try to act like it was a competition.
Yeah, we spoke on the media sensationalism last episode.
That's all it was. Anybody that knows sport knows it. Like usually, sometimes it doesn't happen, but for the most part, the best player on the best team wins.
Right. Well, staying with the sport of basketball, WNBA. Recent news, Isiah Thomas has been named president and part owner of the New York Liberty franchise.
So, look, I don't know who Dolan or whatever this dude's name is. When I read this, my first thought was, didn't he get in trouble for harassing a woman? So now you're gonna put him over several women? Do that even make sense?
Yeah, he cost them almost $12 million in a sexual harassment lawsuit when he was the head coach of the Knicks.
But
yes.
That's probably like, for me and you, that's like $12 to them. Like, they make millions, so they don't care about the money, clearly.
I mean, there are people out there comparing this hire in this situation. I mean, they're comparing it. What did I tell you? It was the equivalent, the equivalent of hiring Bill Cosby to be a bartender on Ladies' Night. I mean, and
okay, it's not funny at all.
Okay. It's not. It's sad. It's sad.
It's not funny at all because I take sexual harassment and all this stuff seriously.
I mean, there was the Cosby reference, and there was the somebody wrote about it being compared to the Vikings hiring Adrian Peterson to run a daycare. I mean, there was some very good ones out there, very sad but very fun. You know, hilarious and sad at the same time, basically.
Who can get away with that? Who can get away with it?
Well, they may not. Because yesterday the news broke that WNBA is going to review this hire further. I'm going to be honest with you, and you know I'm a women's basketball fan. I want the WNBA to thrive and do well. I'm going to be very honest with you, and I believe this is one of two things. I believe this is either a way for Jim Dolan to bring back Isiah Thomas to eventually run the Knicks, and just a way him to work him back into the fold, or two, I believe this is a plant by the WNBA as just, you know, free publicity and getting more word out there about the league, getting their viewership up. I think this was a plant and a plot.
Well, yeah, it's probably not the latter because nobody even talking about the WNBA. They were really talking about Isiah in the books. So
I think they were hoping that their name attached to it would draw people, but you know.
Dude don't want to be wrong about his choice, and I ain't never seen anybody ride something so hard not wanting to be wrong. Look, Isiah, I don't know where this he's a good scout of talent or whatever it is, because the people, like that, the dude from South Carolina with the dreadlocks that he drafted that year, we all was like, what in the world?
Yeah, I cannot think of his name to save my life.
Come on, man.
I know who you're talking about, though.
He is not a good evaluator of talent, in my humble opinion.
I mean, he had a team with Stephon Marbury on it that, you know, he could have done. Eddie Curry, who was a bust from the jump. I mean, he could have done some things with the talent he had. Did not, you know, never matriculated that way. He went down to FIU and was the head coach down there for a few years and never had a winning season. I mean, his name could only do so much. And honestly, when you look at past, you watch 30 for 30s, his name isn't always that great for things. I mean, he causes a lot of controversy being him.
That's because you can play basketball and you're a point guard. Don't mean that you're going to wind up being a coach. That's Magic Johnson. He thought he could coach and he quit real fast.
Yes, Nick Van Exel, Eldon Campbell, and Cedric Ceballos and them, they ran him out of town real quick.
Ran him out. It's like, Jesus, man, about that life, and I'm thinking because they're going to drive me crazy.
Yes, Lord. Well, I believe that's going to bring us to our first break. When we come back, we will jump into boxing and talk about the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight and all the repercussions from it. But, so we'll jump into that and a few other things on the other side. And thank you all for listening, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the Mac and T Show podcast. Jumping right into it, boxing. Mayweather and Pacquiao are in the news. Their big fight last Saturday drew a lot of fans in and then turned a lot of fans off afterwards. It was a very boring fight. Not much to it. A lot of people were upset that there wasn't a whole lot of, they wanted a lot of Rocky and Apollo Creed, and they didn't get that. And they should. That was literally fans that didn't know anything about either one of these fighters, because if they'd have known the fighter that Floyd Mayweather was, that's how he fights every fight. I mean, the man's 48-0 and he's only had like 25 knockouts. So he's not an aggressive fighter. He's a back, he's a defensive. He's bouncing around. He's hard to grab.
Well, again, I'm going to take the words out of my brothers. If they're 140 pounds, don't nobody want to see them fight.
I will agree.
Two little people fight. You got 5'6", I think 140, and 5'8", 5'9", 140. These are really little men, okay? And so, I don't want to see it. And like you said, I have seen some footage of Mayweather. He's a defensive counterbox like guy. He is never going to try to throw punches. And it don't seem like in any other rounds he's going to try to do it. All he's going to do is duck, dodge, and counter punch. I haven't seen Pacquiao either, but like my brother said, we waiting for heavyweights. That's what you like. Heavyweights ain't doing that. Like they gonna play some defense, but they gonna throw them hands. And so, tell the world, hopefully this dude that's from Alabama, I can't think of his name, make it to the top, and then the U.S. will have a good heavyweight, and maybe we'll get a good heavyweight fight at some point in the next several years. But don't nobody care about this Pacquiao mess, but because I don't know if it's even real boxing fans. Because like you said, if you're a boxing fan, you know how he fight, and you had to know this was gonna be boring.
I call it. I have a word. I have a phrase for it. I call it the sorority fraternity effect. A sorority fraternity. I'm sorry, I'm stereotyping. Yes, I am. But I liken sorority and fraternities to, they gotta be a part of something. They see something big, they gotta be a part of it. They gotta be seen. They gotta be out there. They gotta be they gotta let everybody know they was a part of this. And I think that's what everybody wanted. They saw something that was big and it was talked about in the media, and everybody made this gonna be the fight of the century. And everybody wanted to be a part. They wanted to buy it, see it, be there if they could. And now they're like, well, I just spent all that money on nothing.
Y'all got bamboozled. They left with millions of dollars in their pocket. Now this foolishness about suing somebody. Really?
Right. And that's the fans that bet, all the people that I see, and that's why you shouldn't bet. But all the people that bet on Manny Pacquiao to win, they're now trying to sue him because he did not come out beforehand and say that he had this shoulder injury. In fact, he in fact said in his questionnaire before the fight that there was nothing, nothing wrong with him, that he was fine. And now he's come out saying that there's he's got a torn rotator cuff that happened before the fight. And
his hands allegedly hurt, allegedly. But it's like this. If, let's say, LeBron go out there and play on a bum ankle, y'all, it'd be, oh, well, his ankle. But ain't nobody suing nobody talking about, well, we didn't get our money's worth, but we lost because LeBron out there playing hurt. Now, by that same token, when you live in some little small place and y'all don't save up some money to go to, let's say, Memphis, because the Cavaliers coming into town, and then he don't play, now y'all mad because he sat out because he was hurt. Look, BP, can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
That boy hadn't fought. So many people would have been mad. They would have been livid.
This would not have been as big a fight if they had to postpone it a year.
Yeah, nobody would have cared like most people didn't care anyway.
And because of the way Pacquiao has come out with this rotator cuff injury and his surgery that's impending, Mayweather has rescinded an offer to have a rematch. He just claims that he's just feels very disrespected, and Pacquiao didn't give him his just due, and now he's trying to say that all these excuses that's why he didn't do well, blah blah.
Okay, Mayweather, just shut up. You shouldn't have said you were refining. Why? Nothing's gonna change about his style, whether his arm hurt or not, and nothing's gonna change about yours. This gonna be the same result, whether his arm hurt or not. Because they had cortisone and shot that boy up, he probably couldn't even fit his little torn.
Right, he was. I mean, he was swinging just fine. He just couldn't catch Mayweather.
And nothing's gonna change about that. And all this stuff you saying, he a coward. No. Why is he a coward? I mean, coward. If he was a coward, he would say, "Well, no, I can't fight, man, because my shoulder hurts." No, I can't fight in my hand, because I thought I read somewhere that he hurt his hand too, his hand and his shoulder. And so, Pacquiao and Mayweather, y'all take y'all 180 million and 98 million or whatever you made Pacquiao and go sit down somewhere. It's people out here struggling in these streets, and y'all just squabbling over foolishness. And y'all really don't have no troubles. Well, Mayweather might, but because his old lady suing him. Well,
he bring trouble on himself. Let's just say that.
Well, no, I'm saying his one of his baby mamas or ex or something is suing him for saying that basically that she lied, and I was like, Lord, she's suing him for $20 million for that. I was like, well, people sue people for lying all the time. This would be a tough place to live in.
Well, I think that's gonna bring us to our next break. When we come back, we'll finish up this episode with ESPN's E60 documentary from this past week on World Wrestling Entertainment, the WWE Behind the Curtain is what the documentary was called. It's an inside look at the developmental system NXT, and actually focuses on 3 superstars within the NXT developmental system and that are now on the main roster. And the documentary kind of focuses on their personal lives and their journey to make it from developmental to the main scene, the WWE. But we'll get into that and a little bit more on the other side. Thank y'all for listening, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mac and T Show podcast, ESPN's E60 documentary. This past week was on World Wrestling Entertainment, the WWE. It was called Behind the Curtain. It was an inside look at the WWE's developmental system, NXT, focusing on 3 superstars, goes through their personal life and kind of their ups and downs with struggling to make it to the main roster. The 3 superstars that they targeted were, I'll give you their real name first, Ray Lapone, who started his NXT developmental system career as Leo Kruger, a South African poacher type character, kind of like Crocodile Dundee, but with an edge, kind of with a real edge to him. He has since become he got reinvented into a new character called Adam Rose, who is more of a Elton John-esque party goer, real flamboyant, real, he comes out with an entourage and, this whole deal. His story, he's 35 years old, 36 years old at this point. Like I said, he had to reinvent himself from start. I mean, he was old when, and 35 years old is not old by professional wrestlers' standpoint, but it's getting up there. You know, it's old to be in developmental. Let's put it that way. So when he had to reinvent himself, it was a struggle for him because he didn't really know how the fans were going to react to it. He was very nervous about that. And when they show you his family life, he's married. He has a young child, about 2 or 3 years old, that has a birth defect. I cannot remember the name of it. But what happens? He's already outlived his prognosis on life. The little boy has, and he has whatever the birth defect is. He has to be fed his food through a tube connected to his stomach. And they show you how it's done. They show they show Ray LaPon and his wife putting the food through the tube, and it's real real emotional story. And when the upper management told Ray that he had to reinvent himself into this Adam Rose character, he was real nervous. Like I said, he came out, didn't know how the fans were going to react, worried that they were going to start chanting Leo Kruger because they had recognized him as being Leo Kruger and just to make fun of him. And they showed the first time he comes out as Adam Rose. He's got his entourage, and he's dancing all the way to the ring. He gets in the ring. What he does, he gets on top of the ring when he first starts and just falls back into the group. And they carry him, to the other side of the ring, pick him up, put him in there, and that's how he goes. That's how he starts off matches. Well, when that happens, the song's playing and everything's going on. When he gets in the ring, and they kind of pause the video and they're listening to the crowd. And the crowd is chanting and chanting, and they put the words on the screen. What the crowd's chanting is, "This is awesome," and they zoom in on Ray LaPon, Adam Rose, and you could see like tears coming out of his eyes. He was so happy that they really liked that character, and now he's part of the main roster. Another character they talk about, Austin Watson, whose ring name is Xavier Woods, and his story. He is trying to become the first ever professional wrestler, sports entertainer, to obtain a PhD while in the WWE system, while going through they're on the road every day of the year. I mean, they're constantly going and going and going, and it's kind of hard for him to find time to study and go about his thing. So he's becoming that. He is now on the main roster, and he's part of a little faction called the New Day, with two other wrestlers. It's an African American faction. It's kind of a twist between a gospel group and they're over the top happy, over the top positive about everything, and they haven't really caught on with the fans yet. The fans are kind of turning against them, and they're playing up against that now. I don't know where they're going to go with that faction. I like all three wrestlers, so let me preface. Let me stop now. Preface. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan, pro and sports entertainment. I love WWE. Have since birth. Yes, there was a time when I was much younger that I truly believed this to be real, and there was you couldn't tell me nothing different. WrestleMania 6 when Hulk Hogan wrestled Ultimate Warrior in champion versus champion match. You couldn't tell me none of that wasn't real. But let me also say that I now, at the age of 32, I know it's not, but I still enjoy it for the entertainment purposes, and it's just always it's kind of it's a takeaway from reality for me. It's because reality sometimes sucks. I'm just gonna be honest, and I enjoy being able to go into that and go away from reality. And the third wrestler,
I want to get away from the humans. I play video games and make myself a superstar. That's what you should probably consider. Now, you can do a wrestling game. I used to own a wrestling game, so I upgraded my system and I made myself a wrestling superstar too.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. As far as all this background on these guys, I don't know why we think people, athletes, actors, entertainers, whatever, that they don't have regular lives. It's like your teacher when you were in school, in high school, and
you leave here and you go, you got a home.
Like the teacher's not a real person. They
right.
The teacher, they there when you get to school and when you leave, you see them, and then they just stay in the school office. No, that ain't how it works.
Yeah, like you run up on them in Shoney's or something. You like, oh my gosh, you eat.
You know the dude. Let's say James Franco. Just enlighten the people a little bit. James Franco, the dude that played Spider-Man's friend. He been in some other movies too.
Right.
He got a PhD in English from Yale. Okay, who knew?
I didn't until you just said that.
Now, I can't pronounce dude's name, Dolph Lundgren or something, but he played on the Expendables.
Mm-hmm.
He was Ivan Draco in the Rocky.
Right, okay.
I should look at that dude. He a genius. He got 160 IQ.
And he said about 4 words in Rocky.
And you would think he can't hardly talk.
Right.
He got a master's in chemical engineering. Like, these people are smart, and they don't tell us this stuff. So, like, if you want to happen upon some MSN page and see it in entertainment, guess what this star knows or whatever. You'll never know. Like the girl that played Blossom.
Mm-hmm.
Now she on what's the nerd show?
Big Bang Theory.
That Big Bang Theory. She dated one of the nerds.
Right.
She got a triple major from UCLA in undergrad and a PhD in neuroscience.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who knew?
Wow.
Nobody. But her family and maybe, the people around her, but we see these people, I didn't know that Hill Harper had a law degree from Harvard.
No.
So, like, we see these people and we put them in a box and we try to leave them there, and it ain't really all our fault, but they have lives outside of entertainment. And
yeah, their whole sole purpose in life is not to entertain us.
Right, and so they good at what they do. They entertain us, but then they go home and live a regular life like everybody else. Like when you leave your job, they leave theirs and go to work. But you want to know about them because they have money and you think they're living a good life. But money is awesome. Like you need it. The Bible tells you need it. And it answers a lot of things, but it don't make you happy. It don't keep you from being stressed out. And having relationship issues or whatever to go on like regular people, or having bad coworkers or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a lot of people understand that.
So people got regular lives. I mean, again, you go back to the teachers, and when I was little, I just like, oh, my teacher. But then I went home with one of my teachers for some reason. Oh, she was also a basketball coach or something. And I was like, oh, she got a house. Like, this is a real person. And so that's just kind of how we think about. We see LeBron. All we think of him being an athlete, but he got a wife with 2 kids and one on the way. Think he having a girl this time.
Mm-hmm. So, and totally different from LeBron and Watson. The third person they focus on is Matt Polinsky, whose ring name is Corey Graves, and his situation is more known to pro wrestling fans because they actually have put this into action on the show, on some of the shows. He has had many concussions and had to retire. He's only 24, 25 years old. Had to retire from in-ring competition. And he thought, they go through his personal story. When all that goes down, he's thinking that his life is over. I mean, this is all he has. This is all he wanted to do. He has nothing else. And all of a sudden, he's brought in by the upper management and told that they're going to make him an announcer. He's going to be a part of an announcing group. And he started out with the developmental league, and he announced all their matches. And now he hosts one of the main shows, Monday Night Raw. He hosts the pre-show for that. And he also hosts a show on the WWE Network, which is like Netflix and Hulu Plus. Kind of a deal where you can get a subscription and go through all old matches. You have up to the minute breaking news things pop up there from time to time, and he hosts a show called Culture Shock on there. So he's still in it, still has the part. Even though he's no longer able to compete, he's able to. It's just all 3 stories I thought were very well done. it like you said, it shows that these people are human. These people are human. They have something. They have something else going on in their lives outside of what you see on TV, and it just makes you sit back and realize that and take it all in.
Yeah, because for all the rest of the people out there, they do a lot of work doing all that choreography, and yeah, it's choreographed, but they really do have injuries because you still got to land on your neck and got to pull somebody and jump off these ropes. And you really don't know what's going to happen when some of this stuff go down.
Right.
So they do have quite a few injuries.
Mistakes happen all the time in any sport, especially them.
But hold on. Well, I want to say one thing to all my Gator Nation. Let's get a Gator chant for Mike White. Go Gators. I think Mike White going to do us proud. Kind of in that vein of Billy Donovan. Hopefully he's been a Billy 2.0 or Michael White 1.0, whatever works.
I'll just say this. Personally, I know Michael White. I have been at Ole Miss when he was there on the men's staff at Ole Miss. I've been at Louisiana Tech when he was the head coach at Louisiana Tech, which is his most recent job. And he is great. University of Florida and Florida Gator Nation is going to love him.
Go Gators.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. And week 4, hashtag Anna K. Date Brian. Let it move. I have a blog post put out on my personal blog about explaining Anna K. Date Brian. But for you all that actually listen, you don't need to read the blog. You can read it if you want to. You help me out. More viewership, more pride. But yeah, for you all that actually listen and understand and been here with us, you know what the movement is all about, and we're getting stronger. We're not where we need to be, but we are bigger than we were yesterday. We're bigger and better than we were yesterday. But that's gonna be our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone have a happy Friday and a blessed weekend, and make sure the mother in your life, whether it's blood mother, whether it's adopted mother, whatever she is, make sure you go and see her and thank her for everything she's done for you. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Thank God for mom.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time.